Hey, welcome, Corey Thorne, the spiritual and emotional consultant, spiritual teacher, healer, and everything in between of psychic medium and all the woo-woo stuff that I also do. I'm doing these videos and creating this content so that people can really get to know a little bit more of what I do. Through CoreyThorne.com and through the More Than Existing Academy of Higher Consciousness, there's a whole lot of my work, my creation, things that I have created, courses, meditations, and all the things that are here to be able to help you to evolve, to grow. I am also the founder, the creator of More Than Existing. I wrote the book, and this is my book. You can also find where you can get a copy on my website, and it is Amazon, of course, .ca.com, Balboa Press, Barnes and Noble, but all the links are so beautifully laid out for you if you just go to my website. If you like these videos, please please subscribe, hit the notification, share them out, share them on your social media. It really, truly helps to get these messages out, but also to help support us and to support our growing businesses. And I just finished making a post about this on my Facebook about this is not my hobby. This is not a hobby. It is my passion. It is my mission. It is a part of who and what I am and who I've evolved into through my journey of having to do some of the really tough things in life and go through some major life changes. So today I'm going to talk about one of my upcoming classes that I have happening and give you a little bit of an inner view into what it details and what's included. Because sometimes the names of my subjects of my courses really makes people have to read the content to find out what it's about. It's not so simply laid out, and that's how my channel works. It makes people kind of dig a little deeper. I do that real deep soul searching journey with people. I take you on that journey to know that, you have to become that savior in your life. You have to be the one to, step up and find that faith again and find that will, and to know where, that nothing really left you. We leave ourselves. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming coaching course. It is a 4-week course that I'm offering. It is called Spiritual Depression. If you go to the More Than Existing Academy of Higher Consciousness, you will find that that the course has a little introduction video. It talks about the 4 weeks a little bit, not in detail. Today I'm going to give you a little bit more detail in what it involves. So as a light worker coach, as someone who's created a certification coaching program through More Than Existing, is that I always tell people, I could have easily just given you the certification program, but I don't work that way. I was the wounded healer. I was the person that was out there doing the work. I started out on a healing journey that was for me. That was totally for me. It was about, really truly finding my healthy self again. And what I discovered was that everything that I was receiving and every bit of my wisdom and knowledge that I was receiving, that was about me learning to open up to accepting, was that I quickly thought that I should kind of give it all away. I should share this instantly. I should give it to the world. And I found myself in 2 full-time careers and loving both. And one was a 30-year career business owner, as a hairstylist and esthetician. And so I was always behind the chair, always helping people, always being there to give. And then I was also then stepping into the healing industry and stepping into this work and absolutely knowing that this was truly my call. But I found myself kind of losing me and depletion, tired. So why I decided to use spiritual depression. And I had to really think about this because there's many articles or many writings that speak and talk about spiritual depression. And it's often linked to, religion-based counseling type of thing. And I guess in a way, I always say my faith in me is the religion of my truth. And so, but there's also these, stories that you read about spirituality and depression being linked to when you lose when you're uncertain of your or when you're uncertain of who you are and you don't realize you're going through a spiritual awakening, is that it's that depression that comes with it. And so it's a little bit of a combination of everything. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to treat you. I'm not here to tell you something is wrong with you. What coaches do is we work from the place that you're okay, that we tweak, we explore, we dive deeper, we look at where we are limiting ourselves, we look at where we need to put focus. We really start to explore that place of you being able to have the courage to question yourself, to look at your motives, to your actions, to the way that you've been reacting and responding to the world that you exist within. And so when I started to think of how would I make this program really to truly turn into something that has has my heart in it and has something of value. And it truly was that to spread it over 4 weeks, I allow my messages to channel through. And you can see this messy little board over here. This is what I call my channeling board. And I always write out massive amounts of information that starts to come through before any class. So it's always a very interesting journey if you're taking a journey with me. So suppressed emotions and expressions of self that are not expressed leaves us becoming separated from who we are and from being able to trust in ourselves. But first and foremost, do we truly know who we are? If we have not had an opportunity to be able to express our truths or to, just kind of vent out, then we often find ourselves pretending and living in some sort of false sense of safety, of creation, of truth. And what happens in those moments and those experiences is that you actually become more and more separated from you. And you lose faith. You start to lose faith in some of the, innate abilities that you had, the will to keep, living in your own authority, to be able to find your way. So we explore and we look at the will. We look at the free will choices that we have. We also look at the God conscious. We look at the God will. We look at authority. We explore those things. We also look at the brain and the brain waves. We also look at we explore things such as, that lack of stimulation or the lack of dopamine, blockages. We look at the different parts of the brain. We explore different things, and we don't always discuss exactly, into detail because, I'm not a neuroscientist and I'm not a brain specialist. But what we do is that we look at how we think, how we cope or how we react and respond through doing kind of awake meditations or coaching practices where we look at our habits, we explore those habits, we kind of explore how we communicate our truths or how we communicate our words and where that is coming from. Like, where did I learn my language? Where did I learn? And it's like, where did I learn, my language of how to speak about who and what I am? So if you have to start to really go deep enough in there, you start to see that there is a lot of how we even communicate or how we speak for ourselves that was kind of often not really yours. We learn to speak, we learn the dictionary words, like we learn our English or whatever language you are, you learn that. But this is different. This is the energy behind your words. So we look at the energy. We look at, we can all say one word, but that doesn't mean that that's how everyone else perceives that word, or it doesn't mean that that's their experiences with the words. So we start to look at where in that sense of suppressed emotions, where somebody else may have said something to you and it shut you down because you perceived it, perceived or received it in the way that you were impacted in a negative way that then took you away from from the way you would have perceived it if you had spoken it. And so then you shut down, you close down, you reject the person, you reject the opportunity for the person to get to know the person. And you also start to using that as a way to define your relationship with people in your lives. And we don't look at our lives based on that energy. So that's something that we really look at in this. And, it is not, you're really not your emotions. And your emotions are often tied to previous experiences. And the previous experiences, you're not your previous experiences. You have a history with your previous relationships in those experiences or with the experience themselves, but you're not that. And so we look at how we are allowing our emotions to use our emotions more in the negative, to pull the past forward, to keep us being able to be on repeat in habits. And then we also look at how we can use our emotions to really truly connect to finding that nugget, to kind of putting a hook, a spin of good emotions into an experience to change the story, right? So what did we learn from it? What was happening in the end? All of those, my light's getting real bright. So when we look at emotions, we've often, don't realize either that our emotions have been suppressed or they've been coming back up and you haven't known what to do with them. And so you're responding to the emotions the same way that you would have in the scenarios of when you had experienced something that feels the same as what you're feeling in a present moment. So you may start having like childlike tantrums. You may find yourself like, what is going on? Or you may find yourself keep trying to return to the old ways or the old life. And so when we speak, then we do explore the awakening and the relationship, because what we're doing is that we're bringing you into, well, I'm not, you are. What you're doing is you are starting to be able to come back in. And with spiritual depression, when we're going through that lull, is that we get this kind of sense of this melancholy, kind of lower vibrating energy, kind of real, like just your get up and go got up and went without you. That's what it feels like. It just feels like you lose that desire to be places that you probably would have found previous temporary satisfaction. And then you start to discover it's not enough. Life just feels like it's not satisfying you no more. You don't feel like you're able to feel like, I might have, and people will probably say, you used to love to do that. You used to really enjoy that. You're like, I don't. And I don't know if I ever did. I just want it to belong. I want it to fit in. And so you start to think, was that things that I really enjoyed? Am I really missing it? Or did I like the social aspect? Did I like belonging? What was it I enjoyed about it? So you explore the things in your life that everyone keeps reminding you, well, you liked it so much. That's what you enjoyed. You loved those people. You loved holidaying here. You loved this hobby. But did I? And this is what the beauty part of it is that you question yourself. What was it I loved about those experiences? What is it I loved about those hobbies? What is it that I found fulfillment in? So I'm trying to turn down some lights here. My lighting is going all wonky on me. And so we explored that as well. There's a lot of things that start to unfold. So I am going to include the fact that, yes, there is such a thing as that spiritual depression that happens. And then there's clinical depression. And that's not for me to treat, for me to diagnose. That's not my call. Have I experienced it myself? Yes, absolutely. I have had both. I've had I've had depression, and I've also had, and I have PTSD, and I've had, traumatic experiences in my life. But then I also had this spiritual depression. And in this spiritual depression, and where I was, I don't know, it was hard to put into words sometimes. But what I really started to recognize was I almost felt as if every day I was burned, I was just like burned out. It was as if I would say, it's like almost like every bit of sparkle and shine left my eyes. The glow of my skin was gone. The expression in my voice wasn't there. And I just felt like the more I tried to force and push myself to be, the more my body was shutting down. My health was affected, things were affected. And I just felt so out of place. So that's when I started to discover the journey for me. And so to know that you're not your emotions, you are not your pain, you're not your experiences, and that, or you're not the identity of the misery. So what we really truly come to acknowledge is the reality. Pain is real, and it's usually something pretty traumatic or dramatic in our lives that takes us into that spiritual awakening. It's usually often, we've hit the wall. We've been through something traumatic of our own, an accident, or the loss of something in our lives, or a big shift and change. Like for me, one of my biggest was not one of my biggest. There was a few. One really started with me over the years, and I will tell this because I do speak from a vulnerable place. It was truly after I did not listen to my intuition, and I made a choice and decision, and I traveled all the way back to, across Canada, and I just put myself back in an unhealthy situation, and then I found myself going through having to make a call and decision to abort a child. And that's not a big issue for a lot of people. It's like everybody looks at it very differently. For me, it was life-changing because it was not in alignment to who I was. And it definitely did not serve my soul. And I felt like for years, I called myself some really nasty things. So I heard myself speaking, I heard the negativity, I heard myself kind of trying to turn my whole essence ugly, trying to drive people away, force people out of my life. And I do speak some about this in my book. I'm not here to tell somebody else's story or to tell a tell-all story. I'm here to use my stories to help inspire somebody else, because the journey for me led me into some of the worst places of my life and into relationships and situations that probably I may have not been in if I had have known or been with me instead of out there. I was so disconnected that I stopped listening to my intuition. I shut it down. I closed it off. I didn't care about it. I'm like, I don't care what happens to me. It doesn't matter. But in the same time, my life was still evolving. My life was still growing. I grew along with my mother, business partner, grew a massive salon. I was still succeeding, but I was failing me and I was losing me. So I was putting the mask on. I was wearing the mask for the world, but I was not showing up for me. And then one day I realized that every single morning I was sitting in my driveway and I was crying, and I would have to cry out everything. It was like a big dump. Like I'd have to dump out all of this energy, and I'd like, blah. And then I suck it up, pull your shoulders back, put the smile on, go out, put the face on for the world, and go to work and show up. And I thought it really wasn't that nobody else could tell. And if people didn't know me previously, well, of course they couldn't tell. They thought that's who I was. They thought, she's probably this miserable, cranky woman that she's becoming. But that wasn't me. I lost my essence of my true self. I sold out that part of me. And what I was doing was the emotional connection, that place where I got stuck is like a spinning wheel of that past experience, constantly living in every single one of my todays that I was living in. It doesn't have an emotional charge to me anymore. I don't have a connection to it. I've done all the forgiving, all the healing, everything that comes with it. I use the story now as a way to inspire others. But I also know that that experience led me to where I am today. And after that, there was kind of two more areas in my life. And one came this past summer when I had to just shut down. But that was returning back into the workaholic that was avoiding herself way back when all of that other stuff was going on. And when I seen the workaholic, when I seen myself kind of losing that energy, feeling depleted, tired, exhausted, giving my all to everyone else and everything else, and still loving what I was doing, I realized that I was stepping back in to that sense of spiritual depression again, but it was another awakening. It was like an ascension that was happening. And what I kept hearing my intuition say, you need a break. We need you to shut down, to go quiet, to be still so that we can help you. Let us guide you. Let us help you by you going back to nature. So a big part of reviving and revitalizing who we are is to get into nature, is to get into fresh air, is to not be in our thoughts, is to learn the power of going above your thoughts, to kind of get out of your head, to move you aside, to let your truth start to walk with you, for you to walk into your higher self, for us to call in that higher self of you, that version of you that you probably can't even think is even possible, and to start to walk into that energy and to sit by the water, to learn this power of the meditation, to be connected. And that's what spiritual depression, that's what the spiritual depression coaching class is. A coaching, healing. It's a little bit of everything that I do, and also reconnecting you back to being able to trust, engage, to know when you are slipping away from you. And often we don't realize that we actually become like this chameleon to everyone else's energy that's in a room or around you. And when you become the chameleon of everyone else that you're around all the time, is that you are rejecting the power of staying as your authentic true self. So they're all little breakdown classes and courses of my great big course of More Than Existing, but these are all small ways and to be able to help people connect. And not everybody can take my bigger courses, and I hope in the future they can. I will be starting to offer More Than Existing in some new ways and on some different platforms as well, not the whole course, but some introductions. And I look forward to that as well. But I hope this helps you in some way. And if you are really interested and it feels like this is the course for you and the 4 weeks that you would like to spend hanging out with me I think it's like every second Monday for 4 weeks, then go to CoreyThorne.com or go to More Than Existing Academy of Higher Consciousness, and you can get yourself signed up. And it's a way that you can step into a group coaching, my individual coaching sessions, personal, not business, but personal coaching sessions, I think are like $220 Canadian. That's my starting price. And then this gets you in for even less than that for 4 classes with me. So I hope to see you there. Please subscribe, hit the notification, go to my Facebook page if you're on Facebook, Corey Thorne, the spiritual teacher. I'm on TikTok, but I've kind of been taking a break from there. Instagram as well, Corey_Thorne. And you can join in to watch all of my free lives and also this YouTube channel. And there is another one called She Is More Than Existing, and that's where my podcasts are. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being with me. And I hope this helps you in some way and it inspires you to start to feel the need to come home to you. Much love. Bye-bye.